You're listening to Bird Fans Forever, podcast number 71. The podcast for passionate Illinois State Redbirds fans, where we dive into the stories behind the players, the plays, and the pride of ISU. Today's guest is a special one, Malachi Poindexter. Whether it's his leadership on the court or his presence in the locker room, Malachi brings energy, focus, and true Redbird pride every time he steps onto the hardwood. We're talking about his journey, his mindset, and what it means to wear that Redbird jersey. Let's get into it. This is Bird Fans Forever.
Hello and welcome to Bird Fans Forever, episode 71 with Malachi Poindexter. How you doing, big man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing great. We're excited to have you, right? We're going to talk some CBI. We're going to talk about all that stuff, and that has been an awesome journey for you. But let's talk first, how'd you get to ISU, like we talked to everybody about. So talk about your journey through Virginia into ISU and being, we believe you're Peden's first recruit, correct?
I was the second or third, but I was a part of the first class.
Okay, part of the first class. So lay it out, big man. Let's go.
Yeah, so, in high school, I was pretty good, but I also was going through some injuries. So I had a couple D1 offers taken away from me, and then later in my high school career, I had the option to either go to a D3 school, Christopher Newport University, or take a preferred walk-on spot at the University of Virginia. And I thought I could play D1 because I already had D1 offers, but because of injuries, things went different directions. So I bet on myself, went to the University of Virginia. My freshman year, it was an eye-opening experience. I went on as a preferred walk-on. I thought I was going to be practicing, right? But I was putting on like these big arm gloves, and I'm playing defense against the scholarship guys. And then throughout that year, I was like, yeah, I'm going to really have to start working. I have to start working because I can't do this anymore. So then after my freshman year, I got in the gym every single day. I didn't go back home over that summer, and I just stayed in the gym. And the goal was to make 1,000 threes a day. So I wake up in the morning, go make 500, and then before I went to bed, I still had a flexible schedule during the summer, but I made sure I got in my 1,000 shots. And then sophomore year came. I was putting in all the work over the summer, taking care of nutrition and everything. And then I had a couple of guys on my team that I were like, okay, they're in the position I want to be in, so I kind of have to really attack them. So I attacked them throughout our fall camp and then into the preseason. And then ultimately I started getting my number called. Actually, we're playing against Farley Dickinson. And I'm in the game because we're already up like 25, 30 points. I'm just a walk-on. But I get the ball at half court, but there's only like 7 seconds left. And Coach Bennett tells everybody, clear out. I'm like, whoa, me? Like, bro, me? Like, all right, cool. So then I came down the court, hit a between the legs, hezzy, and then like a tiny step back, got the mid-range jumper to go in. And then I was like, okay, like that was really giving me confidence. And then from that point on, I was just getting spot minutes at the University of Virginia. Had a great time there. And then I still wasn't playing as much as I thought I could. So I was like, okay, it's time to enter the transfer portal. I feel like I can do that, and I feel like I'm ready for it. So then, as soon as I get into the portal, had a couple of schools reach out, but it didn't seem very heartfelt, like they truly wanted me. It seemed like I was like a second or third option. But then I get a FaceTime call, which was why am I getting a FaceTime call? Like, I don't know whose number this is, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting recruited right now. Let's go ahead and do it. I answer the FaceTime call. It's Andrew Dockage. And he's telling me everything about Illinois State, and I'm just like, wow. So pretty much from that point on, after conversating with him, mainly through FaceTime, our first 3 or 4 times, I was like, okay, I really like this place. So then eventually I started talking to Coach Peden. He was extremely authentic and real with me, and then automatically was like, we're gonna get you out here to Normal. Can you come in within a week or 2? And then we set it up, and me and my dad took a flight down here to Normal. Pretty much the rest is history, but the way they recruited me was extremely different than anything else I've ever experienced. Go into the hotel room, and they have some of my favorite snacks. Like, I was wondering why in the first couple of phone calls. Why are you asking what my favorite snacks are? Okay, but so they really took a lot of things into account, and pretty much made my experience here. And then I remember playing in the open gym. They were like, "Do you want to play with us?" I was like, "Sure, I'll come and play." But me not really understanding exactly what it was, I was like, are they going to be like peeking through the windows? Because the coaches aren't allowed to watch during the open gyms when the recruits there.
Right.
But in my mind, I was like, are the coaches still going to be peeping through the window? So I really got to take this like extremely serious. And I remember just having a great day.
And so who were you, when you were at Open Gym, who were you guarding and who was kind of on the court with you? Do you remember that?
So at the time we had Colton Sandage, which is one of my best friends till this day as well. Love Colton. Shout out Colton. We had Darius Burford, who was here my first 2 years here. Alex Kotov, Haruna Sissoko. So it was the first year's team. And it was just like I just had a lot of fun, like the camaraderie. It just seemed like I was already fitting in when I got here, even off the court when the guys I went to go hang out with them afterwards as well. And then after we finished Open Gym, I had a little conversation with my dad, and I was like, hey, Pops, I'm come in here. He's like, when? I'm like, today, like in like 10 minutes when we go into his office. So then we go into the office with Coach Peden, and he has this presentation set up for me, a very nice presentation, and it was, like I said, extremely authentic. He really broke down my game film, and he had things that I could work on. And mind you, he did this in like a week and a half. Like, it's like he was really putting in an effort. So I was like, okay, like this really means a lot to him. And then I just let him go through the whole thing, and then we started talking for a little bit, and I wasn't even hinting at it. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, Coach, I'm committing today. And then he was like, yeah, he got up, gave me a big hug. And so, yeah, that's ultimately how I got to ISU.
That is awesome. All right, so when he was breaking down your game tape, was it actually game footage from Virginia when you were playing? So they had gone out and found footage of you on the court, and oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, also I had a manager create a highlight tape for me.
Oh, okay, very cool.
That was another part of the equation as well. Like somehow I got lucky to find this great place. I got so lucky to find Normal. I put out the highlight tape, a random YouTube link, and somehow I got in the hands of Tyler Hicks. Tyler Hicks saw it and was like, we kind of like this guy. Well, he kind of liked me, and he recommended Coach Peden, and then it fell into place.
Well, very, very cool. I was wondering where they got the footage from. Right, because I mean, even today, right, as we're doing the podcast, it's always hard. Sometimes it's hard to find footage of guys. So
right.
You will be easy because there's all kinds of footage, on that stuff. So We'll hack that. So, all right, that is awesome. All right, so we're gonna jump forward, and then we'll come back and hit on some of your game highlights and your CBI stuff. But we're gonna talk about you graduated last May. So talk about graduating in May. And then your 2-year program, and then talk about trying to juggle that with going overseas.
Yeah, so I graduated last year with a health exercise science degree, and then I was like, I might as well start a master's. Not a lot of people are able to even start a master's program, so it's something I was extremely grateful for to have the opportunity to do. So I went ahead and started it, and honestly, it's been great. I'm having the best grades. I'm extremely interested in everything that I'm doing. But I'm also, like you said, I'm juggling with the overseas part as well. And so I was just talking with a couple of agents, and it's looking like I could be leaning more towards basketball at the moment. But it's a hard situation to be in. You got family, your girlfriend, like all of these different pieces that really taken into account, but I'm really looking forward to just having the opportunity, and whatever avenue I'll take, it'll be perfectly fine because I think Illinois State prepared me well for anything, honestly. So,
and if you did take a position overseas, you just come back and finish that last year of education.
100%. I would like to play overseas 2, maybe 3 years. Well, if I'm playing extremely well, I might as well go until I retire. But so yeah, that'll be the deal. I could go over there, finish it up, enjoy a different country, enjoy playing basketball, and then I can come back and finish my degree here.
Okay, Malachi, let's talk about your record, which is in the record book, which is awesome. 94.5% from the free throw line. You were third best in the country that year. Last 2 years, you've been 92, 93%. What was it like? Were you nervous at all during that season when you were chasing down John Tree's record? Did any of that play in your mind? Did you even know you were chasing the record?
I knew I was shooting well from the free throw line, but I never knew of the record. No one was telling me that I was creeping up on this record, so it was just kind of behind me, and I was just going to the free throw line and just shooting.
Taking care of business, yeah.
But I remember when I missed that first free throw. Because I knew I was shooting well. I was 100%. I knew I was shooting well. I didn't know I had a record, but I knew that I was like, I'm not going to miss for the whole season. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I get to the free throw line. We're playing against Bradley. I get fouled on the 3, miss the first one, and I'm just like, like, there it goes right there. Hit the next 2, but I loved shooting free throws. Like, my first year, I wish I could have got to the free throw line more. Could have definitely helped out my game as well. But after breaking a record, I was like, wow, like, this is what I transferred for, like, really trying to prove myself in some area of the game.
They have an opportunity to compete, right? And
exactly.
Have a chance to beat that, yeah. So, and then in that Bradley game, you went 15 of 16. And I was the second all-time free throw at 13 of 14. So thank you very much for kicking me out down to like 5th or 6th or whatever you did. So really appreciate that, Malachi. All right. So shooting free throws for youngsters. What do you recommend young kids, right? What is kind of your tips and tricks for shooting free throws?
Honestly, I was taught at a young age not to take too much time while you're at the free throw line, because the longer you're there, the more you can think about the outcome of the shot, a miss or a make. So at first, up until like 12 years old, I was taking 3 dribbles. I was doing the spinning, shaking the shoulders. I was doing everything, right? And one of my coaches was like, yeah, you should probably stop doing all that and just take 1 dribble. So from that point on, I get to the free throw line, take a quick deep breath, take 1 dribble, and I shoot it. So it doesn't really give you enough time to think about whether or not you're going to make it or miss it. So, but it is something that's also a lot of routine. You really have to rep it out. So for a younger kid, repetition is your best friend. You always want to practice and practice and practice, get your shots up. And then eventually, once you go to the free throw line in the game, after repeating it so much, you just do it and you don't even think anything of it. So then you're not, it's not short, it's not long, it's just going to go through the net because you've done it so many times. So so definitely just keep repeating.
Yeah, my routine was my savior. So, all right. So we're going to talk about your big game, right? You had a lot of big games, but high for Illinois State is 29 in a game, which is super awesome against Evansville. So walk us through that game, right? You're on fire, right? At some point you go nuclear on us, and you're just crushing everything. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we started off the game, and it's extremely weird. During warm-ups, my shot was maybe feeling a little off. I just wasn't hitting as many shots. I was like, okay. But throughout my career, for some reason, sometimes when that happens, I usually shoot better. So then I started telling myself that. I had to really instill some confidence in myself because I didn't see a lot go through during warm-ups. So we get into the game, and I take my first 3. It's cash. But it's only 1 3. Like, nobody's really thinking much of 1 3. Like, what's going on? But here, and then the very next possession, Johnny comes down and hits a second 3. And I'm like, okay, now we're rolling. I think we're up 6-2 because they did score a layup. The very next possession, Coach Peden calls a play, and because I made my first one, I was like, I'm gonna shoot the next one. Like, why not? Coach Peden calls a play, and I kind of abort it, and I just go up, shoot another one, and that one was cash. And then, so that's the 3rd possession in a row where we've hit a 3. The 4th possession, somebody comes down, forgot who got the layup. They get a layup. We go back, play a possession of defense. We get a steal, go back to the other end. We're in transition. I get to the 3rd 3 of the first half. And I'm like, okay, like, it's just one of those nights. It just must be one of those nights. And now at this point, because we've hit 3 or 4 threes, we're up like 12-2. We just go on a really good run. And then I believe there was a timeout after we got another layup. And also during this time, their coaches were telling like their players to like sag off me a little bit because they were worried about me getting too much separation from screens. So like try to maneuver around the screens, and I heard them saying that. So then during a timeout, Coach Peden decides to call another play of me coming off a screen. I hit my 4th 3, and then I started chucking a couple. So I think I missed 3 in a row. So now at this point, I'm like 4 for 7. But then we go into the second half. I hit 2 more threes, and we end up winning the game. It was really a great experience, especially because the way we started the game. I wasn't the only one hitting shots that game.
Right. All right, so let's go back to the 3 you chucked up there. when you take those shots, right, shooters shoot. Now, in the first two, it sounded like you had total confidence in everything going up, the first three.
Sure.
Those three you chucked up there, did you know you were kind of taking some silly things, or were you just thinking you were so on fire, these were going down no matter what?
Well, that's exactly how I was feeling. My hands literally got hot. Like, they were actually on fire. So I come down, I shoot the first one, and mind you, all of these they feel great. Like, I'm almost doing the Steph Curry. Like, I was thinking on the fifth one, if I would have made the fourth one on that fifth one, I would have shot and just turned around and started running back. But, yeah, I probably would have had to do that. But actually, my favorite three of that game, the shot clock was winding down a little bit. I had a jab step from deep and then launched it. And I think that was the sixth one. So that was definitely probably the best one right there. And then, yeah, it was a great night.
You were on fire. It was a good night to have. All right. So, next good one we want to talk about, and we're not going to show it, but you have 20 the night Johnny gets the game winner, right? And a little baseline 14-footer hits it. Great. Who cares about Johnny? This is the Malachi Poindexter show. So, you had 20 that night. Let's walk through that game for us.
Yeah, I remember Missouri State being like pretty aggressive with me because I was just labeled as a shooter my whole career. And because of that, I kind of used it to my advantage. If they gave me a little bit of space, then I just pump faked them. And they were jumping a lot that game. So I ended up getting quite a few mid-range jump shots. And then they made some of their adjustments. And now they're sagging off a little bit or not biting for the pump fake. Once I felt that, then I hit a couple threes. But that night, it was legendary because obviously it was the game-winning shot. I had a really, really good game. Johnny set and a legal screen for the backstage.
Wait. Are you admitting to a foul? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, exactly. It was a great screen because he really put his body on the line. He laid the guy out. And ultimately, the screener is the person who's going to get the shot.
Right.
Like, the screener is going to be the person. And we were doing a screen-to-screener action. He came off and knocked it down. It was nice. I just remember being extremely excited that whole game.
Okay, so you talked Missouri State, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they like to play you tight. And then you were talking about Evansville like to drop off. Were most teams you faced playing tight man-to-man on you?
Yeah, most of the time teams would play man-to-man because, like, extremely tight because I am a shooter. But there were other teams who you could kind of feel when they were trying to scheme against. Like, if I had a previous game, let's say I went, like, 1 for 4, some coaches will look at that and be like, okay, maybe he's not as good as a shooter as people think.
Right.
And then you go into the next game, and then it was just a bad decision.
Right. So now, talk to us about, like, you know, we faced Missouri State twice this year. Did they do the same thing to you down in Springfield as they did here in Bloomington to you? Right, and then the same thing with Evansville. We did play them twice also. When we're at Evansville, did they do the same thing, or were teams pretty consistent about they were either tight on you or not tight on you?
No, so Evansville they switched it up, and then when we played there, they were guarding me a lot tighter, so I didn't get a lot of catch and shoot shots. But that game I still played well, but it was just more creating off the dribble.
Talk to people about if they're playing you really tight, that guy is not going to be very good at help side, right? So you're actually sucking somebody out of the play. So even though you're not getting the shots, you're being a great teammate to everybody else. And depending on how coaches scheme ISU or any team, really determines whether or not sometimes you're getting a lot of shots or getting no shots, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. But a lot of the time, it's always great to have a shooter in the corner because then if you have players like our point guard Dalton Banks, who's a really strong, fast driver, just having someone pull that guy more towards the corner is such a big help, and that's what makes an offense lethal, honestly, and that's what we did a lot of this year.
And that's really what helped you guys in the CBA, right? Because if Dalton would drive in on the CBI. When Dalton would drive in, if they didn't sag and double him, right, then he would abuse them in the post because he plays as a big guard. If they did, then you hit jumpers, Johnny hit jumpers, Ty hit jumpers, right? Caden hit jumpers. So, all right, Malachi, you have a great Played great down in St. Louis. Win the first one, fall short in the second one. Sorry about that, but what point do you guys start hearing the season might not be over, right? Is that pretty shortly when you get back to the hotel? Is that still in the locker room? Or is that, hey, everybody don't separate and go out too far? Because I know when the season's over, guys kind of separate or spread apart.
Yeah. Well, I remember like getting extremely emotional as the clock was ticking down once it got to the last minute and the score wasn't looking how we wanted it to be. And I remember Dalton saying, "I love you boys." Like we were at the free throw line, they were shooting, and I was just like, "Come on, bro, you didn't even have to say that yet." You didn't even have to say that yet. So I'll go ahead, give him a hug, and I'm already feeling like emotional. And then once the game finishes, we're walking back to the locker room, and I'm hearing like CBI, like I'm hearing it. I don't know who's saying it, but I heard it a couple times, and then I automatically was like, "We playing the CBI? Come on, like yeah, let's play in the CBI. Like I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out with the loss.
No.
If we have the opportunity, then we and especially me being in my last year, and I think that was mutually agreed upon with all the seniors as well. As soon as we heard it, which was pretty much, we got into the locker room. We're sitting there. Some of us got tears in our eyes, and we're knowing there's a possibility because we heard it as we were walking in. Coach Feeding comes in, and he was like, "I'm not ready to give all of you my thank you seniors speech yet. I love playing with you guys, and there's a possibility we're playing in the CBI." And we all went from this to, let's do it again. So once he told us that, then we just had the thought process that we have to go win. Like we have to go whatever we have to do to get it done, and also enjoy another trip with all the fellas. So it was definitely a great experience to go.
All right, so you get the word you're going to the CBI. What's practice like? Does he give you any time off, or are you just going right from the Valley right into practice? How did that work for you guys?
I think Coach Peden did it extremely well. He gave us almost a week off, which was pretty much needed for the guys and for our bodies because we were going through a very strenuous season, and then you played 2 games, so it wouldn't have probably been the smartest thing to start practicing right away. So it kind of worked to our advantage when we played against Presbyterian, our first game. But the practices, once we got back, we thought we were going to be relaxing a little bit, maybe a little bit the first practice. No, we got straight to business, and I really appreciated that though. We get to practice, and you could feel the energy that everybody was like, no, like we are going to play. We're not going to just go to Florida. We're not going to be we're going to the CBI. No, we're going to win. We're going we're going to continue getting the program better. We're gonna use this as experience for guys for next year. And lastly, we were gonna use it so all the seniors could go out with a W in college basketball.
Which we talked off air happens to so few teams, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so get to Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Presbyterian, first person team up. You guys play, yeah, you played well, good enough to win, but it wasn't one of your best performances. It was a gutty and a gritty performance, so kind of talk about the Presbyterian game.
Yeah, for sure. So we get down there, it's like you never know what to expect from refs because the game can be played differently in terms of a whistle.
Amen.
in different leagues, different conferences, and down in Florida. So we had to make some adjustments for that game. They were allowing us to play a little bit, and honestly, I was like, yes, like come on, let's do that. I can really play defense now. So, but once we actually got into the flow of things, so I know Presbyterian made like a pretty good run, and we never felt like we might lose, like we're down. It's just like, okay, Presbyterian, they really came to play, and we just need to step up right now. Like right now, we're just coasting. I don't know what everybody was thinking in the exact moment, but it just had that feeling of like we're just down here in Florida right now enjoying a good time. But after we got punched in the mouth, then everybody really had that dog come out of them, was like, yeah, nobody punches us like that and gets away with it. So then we really picked it up and we got some things flowing. Obviously, Chase had a great game, and it was a good experience. And then we win. And even though it wasn't the best game that we were hoping for, it was important to have a tougher first game for the tournament. I don't think it would have benefited us if we would have went ahead and won by 25-30, and then we think that we're here and the next team is going to be a cupcake. So ultimately, like, it ended up being a good game for us, and it was a good win.
Yep, you played very well. It was a great win. All right, so kind of walk people through what happens. Game's over, you win. Then what happens, right? You guys go to the locker room and kind of walk us through getting ready to play against UIW, Incarnate. Say it, John. Save me.
Incarnate Word.
Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
So give us the behind the scenes. What happens, right? Food, film session, stretching, ice. Yeah.
So right after the game, we have our athletic trainer, John Munn. He's getting people's tape off of their ankles. This is after Coach P gave his post-game speech. We're celebrating in the locker room, throwing water all over the place. And then once we got that first win, everybody was like, oh, yeah, we're here now.
Right.
Like we're really here. Now there's no going back. There's no games to be played. We are all about business. And that was just honestly the feeling of it. And then our hotel was pretty close to where we were playing at. So we would walk back to the hotel, and after Coach let us know what the plans were going to be for the night. But we walked back to the hotel. Everybody's smiling. The weather's nice. We just won. We're still wearing our jerseys, like, proudly.
Okay, so you didn't even shower there. You guys head back to the hotel.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because the hotel was a literal 4-minute walk.
Okay.
So walk straight across the street, and then we go over and we meet for a second in our big ballroom, and we went over quickly what the personnel was for the players of the other team, so we kind of get something before we go to bed. And we also didn't want to stay up too late because you also have a game very soon after. So we get a little bit of personnel, and then all of the coaches, after we talk, we go upstairs, we go ahead and shower. Sorry, I'm missing dinner. We had dinner down there as well. After the coach talk, we would have dinner down there. It was always a good meal. Usually we would have, like, chicken parm. We would have a lot of chicken parm and a lot of carbohydrate-based things so we can perform, like, for the next day. And so we would go upstairs, get showered, and then some of the coaches or managers would come by for room checks to make sure everybody was in bed, not doing anything they weren't supposed to be doing. And then they would also bring the personnel sheet again, so then we could touch up on who we're playing against tomorrow, because the coaches are really, like, descriptive with how they frame each player. And for example, I'll just give you a quick example. We're playing against Cornell, and we have a guard on their team. He's a bigger guy, but he loved this left to right crossover. He just loved using the left to right crossover. And he tries to use that left to right crossover, but because Dalton actually studied the plan, he knew that it was coming, so he got a steal off of it. And then I try to do the same thing, and he kind of gets by me a little bit. but no, it ended up being fine. But yeah, that's usually what a night looks like for us. They give us our personnel. We go ahead, take our showers, whatever we have to do in our room. Maybe I still had to finish up some homework, so I just finish something up really quick and then go to sleep, wake up the next day.
All right, so next day, get up, breakfast, right? What do you have for, what are they? We had team breakfast. What was your team breakfast?
Well, actually, the first activity that we would have in the mornings at times would be we would do, like, this team mobility. So we would wake up in the morning, and then right before breakfast, we chill in either the hallway of the hotel or inside the ballroom, depending on if the coaches were having meetings or not.
Right.
And Coach Swinson would just making sure that our bodies were always prepared for the next
stretched,
game.
ready,
But of course, a lot of the time the players are like, oh, we got to wake up 30 minutes earlier just to touch my toes and do all of this and stuff. But in reality, it's, like, definitely needed. Like, we just have to do that. And then after we finish that up, we usually have breakfast. And then once we finish our breakfast, Coach will get us together again. And then he'll pretty much lay out what the whole schedule of the day is going to be. And then we get into the offensive and defensive film of the team as a group, and they're letting us know what this team likes to do, what they pride themselves on, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and then strategies on what we're going to do to combat it. And then we usually go back to our room. We would go back to our room for a little bit after breakfast, because whatever time the game was against UIW, 7 p.m. So we had about 2 to 3 hours to ourselves. All the players go back to your room. You can study a little bit of the personnel. Some people take naps. Some people shower. Some people listen to music. Whatever they need to do to get themselves going. Personally, I go take a nap and sometimes play a video game on my computer. I like video games. Gets my mind going every now and then right before a game. And then we wake up, and then from my nap, and then we go ahead and go downstairs, and we're ready for the next game.
Okay, so let's talk about University of Incarnate Word, that game. Right, you guys have a nice lead through most of it, and then you kind of let it slip away, and then you battle it back. So talk about that game.
Yeah, for sure. So you don't want to underestimate players, but there was some of that happening every now and then. But like, these are Division I basketball players, and they ended up playing extremely well. And it was just another one of those things where this is another team that is coming in here and saying, we're just not gonna give this to you. Like, you're gonna have to come with your very least your B game in order to beat us. But I remember being in one of the huddles, and Coach Peden pretty says that in his own way, saying that we really need to get back to what we do, focus on what we do, play better defense, and really lock in. And so from that point, we had a better game from there because he lit a fire under us.
Sometimes you have to, right? You've got to be reminded of the Redbird way. So, all right. You get that game done. Now, when you're walking off the court in that one, you realize you're going to the championship. Are you like on cloud nine, like, oh my God, we got a shot at this? And what are you guys thinking then, right? Kind of talk us through that. Yeah. And that 100%. Walk back to the hotel, were you guys just like walking on clouds at that point?
Oh, well, it was actually a little different. So after that game, we were definitely walking on clouds. Everybody was walking on clouds, but everyone was also staying calm and collective because, like, we know we have a game the next day. So that walk back, it felt happy, but it felt like I was wearing a suit in a business meeting walking down the street. So, like, it was very business-like, and we were trying to make sure we had to handle what we had to handle. And ultimately, we knew we would have a great time if we won the CBI. So we really locked in on that, and then went into the CBI, and we're playing against Cleveland State.
Let's roll into it. Yep.
So it was a really good game. I remember them having a really strong guard. He was like 6'4", 6'5", and a little bit bigger, weighs more, just a little bit stronger. And there's not a lot of players like that who just go straight through your chest. And like, that's the way his game was. Mm-hmm. They were extremely physical. So we had to adjust a little bit. And that's always that's been the main theme for most of these games. We're adjusting to different teams, like what they like to do, or the physicality, or like different ways you have to respond. But that game felt great. I hit my first three. Coach Peden calls another one right after I hit it, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, he wants me to shoot it again. Like he really wants me to shoot it again. So then I'm coming off of this down screen. Caden Bozer. Actually, no, it was a dribble handoff, but I just came off a screen. I can't name our play. I was about to name it. I don't want anybody else to hear or see it.
No trade secrets on this show.
No trade secrets. So I come off the handoff, and I'm running full speed, and I just square my shoulders, and I shoot like this fadeaway from behind the three-point line. And it just felt so great. Like, I was like, I'm in a championship game shooting like Steph Curry. I'm on top of a mountain right now. You can't tell me anything. But it was a great time, especially because Caden, he had the game of his career. And, like, what better way to go out than that? So now you have me hitting 2 threes in the first half. You have Caden not missing a shot at all the whole game. And you have Dalton still producing, having a great game as well. And it's just like, what better can this situation be for our program and like our seniors? Because it was truly amazing, honestly, because we were all having fun, enjoying the game while also being serious and businessmen at the same time. And I really enjoyed that game.
What a way to go out, right? I mean,
100%.
All right, now that walk back. I mean, we've seen the highlight. It's on our YouTube. I got YouTube on another channel above my screen. We've seen the celebration in the locker room. Talk about the walk back to the hotel and dinner after, and just kind of the whole thing. Right now, you're walking on clouds going back.
Right, but let's rewind it. Let's rewind it a little bit back into the locker room right after the game. Matter of fact, let's rewind it to before the game. Coach Peden, he took a piece of bacon from breakfast, put it in a plastic bag, and then taped it to the whiteboard, and was pretty much saying, "We have to go get the bacon. Let's eat the bacon." like
awesome.
really, what he's saying. Really, what it felt like is like, we're some dogs. Let's go get this food.
Right.
So pretty much what it was. So then, after the game ends, everybody's happy. We go into the locker room, and the bacon is just sitting there on the whiteboard, and I'm like, "Coach, like, what are we doing with that? Like, we gonna eat it? Like, you're gonna eat it? Like, eat it." So then Coach Peter opens it up out the bag, and he's like, "I don't know if I really want it." And then he gives it to me first. I was like, "Yeah, I'm eating it." I went ahead, took a bite of the bacon. Dalton took a bite of the bacon. And then Coach P actually did take a bite of the bacon, and then he gave it to Caden, and then he went ahead and just like act like a dog. It was funny. It was really a good time. And then after that, we broke it down. We're all walking back to the hotel, and we're just feeling great. You can't tell any of us anything, and this is probably something I enjoyed the most because of how great all the people are like around me that I've like had to be around at Illinois State. After the game ends, we go up to our rooms, we take a shower, everyone's talking about something we should do. We all end up in the ballroom, and we stay in the ballroom for 4 hours just talking, just having the greatest time, and we just chilling in the ballroom, just having you know how it is, just hanging out with a bunch of your friends.
Never forget that.
Exactly. So that's something that from the whole entire tournament, the whole experience at the CBI, I will remember literally being in that ballroom after the win. And it's everybody and we had our photographer Dayton Hams in there. We had Jack Betts in there, and we had a bunch of all of the players actually. And it was a great time. So, but then, you know, once the room started dying down, it got really late, and you start taking that walk up back to your hotel room, you're like, man, like you're really gonna miss this. Like, I'm really gonna miss this.
I'm really gonna miss it. Yep.
And I'm glad I got to experience it at like winning a championship. Like, I got a taste of it, and that's all I ever wanted getting into college.
All right, Malachi, we talked about this a little bit off air. One of the things I really admire is the fact that you go become a preferred walk-on at Virginia, and you make your way to Illinois State, become a starter, a major contributor, you win a CBI. Tell young kids how they can kind of walk in your shoes and what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot that goes into it. But first off, if you're a kid who already loves the game of basketball, you're already halfway there. And that's that one thing that just can't die. As long as you have that, then you have your vehicle to get to where you want to go. But along with that, you have to always try to learn. Always try to learn throughout your time with whatever you're doing. And pick somebody. For me, it was Kobe Bryant. I would read a lot of things about Kobe Bryant, watch a lot of YouTube videos. Pick somebody who you really look up to, who you can kind of try to mold yourself into or model yourself after just a little bit. And really focus on everything that they do, not just what moves they do, but how they take care of themselves off the court. Are they recovering properly? And then once you ask yourself that question, you can find the things that they do to recover, and then you can implement that for yourself. And it's super easy. We have a cell phone and YouTube and TikTok, and you can use all of these things to your advantage. And then as you get a little older, always try to maintain your body. Always try to maintain your body. So when you go into a weight room, that's not the time to slack off. It's probably the most important time to be in there. You want to decrease your risk of injury. You want to make sure you're strong on the court. You want to make sure you're fast on the court. You want to make sure you're laterally agile. And then the next biggest piece is really locking in to your nutrition. You can also look all of these things up on YouTube, try to find a credible source, do a little bit extra research to really understand if the person knows exactly what they're talking about. So just make sure it's credible. And even me, I always have this Stanley on me at all time. Thank you, Steve, so much, Steve Thate. I really appreciate it. It is extremely important to stay hydrated. And then also with the other side of nutrition, making sure you're eating the right things. I know it's extremely hard to do, but like I said, use all of your resources that are available to you. If you have them or whatever you have, use it, and you can learn anything you want. So as long as you are willing to love the game and continue learning, you can pretty much do anything you want.
That was awesome. All right, Malachi, closing.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate my time at ISU. It was a great 3 years. I've created relationships that I don't think I'll be able to create with anybody else in my life. I have guys who I love, guys who love me back. I had a great staff from Coach Peden all the way down to all of our managers. Sarah Wright, John Munn, super funny guy. And although I love Munn, I didn't always like being in the training room. That's not a place you want to be, you know. And then Coach Swinton, he always answered all of my questions and allowed me to understand why I'm doing a 7-second squat on the way to the ground with 250 pounds on my back, right? And I would just also like to thank the university for giving me just a great experience as a student athlete. There are so many little things that go unnoticed throughout a career and throughout college. And I'm already sounding like Jon Pemberton over here. But there's so many things that go unnoticed. And once you kind of slowly start getting out of it, you start noticing everything. And then it's like, I wish I could have noticed all of these things while I was in it. And the great experience that I had could have been even better. It could have pushed me forward in incredible ways. So I really, really appreciate this university for the past 3 years, and I appreciate everybody who's helped me out. And I really thank you guys for having me on this podcast.
We love watching you play, man. It's been an honor, so love it. All right, this has been episode 71 with Malachi Poindexter. John, hit it. Don't forget to subscribe and like.